Hey everyone, welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers of happiness and joy, seekers of a centered approach to success in life, seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
It is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, and this is I think this is our second year of being together for Mental Health Awareness Month, isn't it?
Could be.
Or more than 2 years.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
Well, the first year we're really probably episode number 2 in, so we didn't really know what we were doing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know it was Mental Health Awareness Month back then.
You know what? Last year at this time, I just realized this. Last year at this time, speaking of media, we were in the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal on a panel of experts talking about mental health awareness. And Dr. Karen Dahl, who was on our pod just a few weeks ago, was the moderator of that event.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
1 year
great.
ago.
That was great. That was focused on business owners, right? Or executives and managers, but bringing the conversation of mental health into
the workplace,
business, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And obviously you and I talk about that a lot. We're very passionate about creating, tools and the environment to bring mental health as a conversation into business. Mm-hmm. But today, I don't think we should talk about business and mental health.
Me either.
I think we should talk about
We already did that.
Done that a bunch of times.
Yeah, I think we should talk about it as individuals too, because unfortunately, if you would have told us last year at this time, hey, the world is actually going to get even a little more topsy-turvy than it is now.
Even crazier.
Yeah, the pandemic is still going to be a thing. I know you'll be shocked to hear this, you guys, but not only will there be a pandemic, there will also be a war.
Yeah.
And wildfires everywhere. And floods.
Crazy inflation. And
I don't know why I'm laughing. It's not funny at all. It's just so amazing what we are living through today.
Yeah. Definitely. Mm-hmm. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. So, how do we come at this conversation to really understand there's a lot in the world that's happening.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. Now, my question to you is, am I a isolated little unit that is not affected by all of the things happening out there in the greater world, or am I somehow connected to the entire ball of chaos that's happening?
What do you think?
I asked you first. What I can't say, hey, I have a question for you, and then just turn it right around.
Yeah, but you phrased it, am I? You didn't say, are you? So I felt like I could do a quickie changey.
I was using me as an example. Well,
no,
I'll answer it.
Yeah.
You want me to
go? Ahead.
I
want you to go.
So I think that I pose that question because I think that's a really interesting question in the way that
yeah, me too.
I have this belief that kind of all of the energy, all of the people, things in the world are connected in the universe. It's all one big interconnected web. So things that are happening to others affect my energy.
Yes.
My energy affects others. It's all a connected web, right?
Yep.
However, a thing that I have to tactically do to make sure that I have the purest energy I can is cut myself off from some streams of information and some stories.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I believe that the stories you hear shape the way you think.
Yes. Yep. Or certainly put you in a reactive emotional state, right? Versus proactively choosing your emotional state.
Yep.
And I think that's the slippery slope that we're all in right now.
So there's an interesting bit of like, what does connected mean, right?
Yeah.
So like, I was talking about like a deep sort of spiritual connection to the universe.
Yeah.
But sometimes when we talk about connected, we talk about like media, social media, news. How are we quote, connected to the country or the world via the stories, right?
Yep.
Via the information that's being shared.
Yep, exactly. I think, so it's an interesting juxtaposed position that we're in right now, I think, because with so many things ever changing and so quickly, we also didn't list the political landscape. We're experiencing things in our political landscape that we have not experienced in our lifetimes. With the infighting going on about politics and this now creating disbelief everywhere within the politics. Even if you vote, it doesn't matter. It's all a lie. The voting is all rigged. So there's so much stuff going on. So the juxtapose is this: there's so many changes happening so quickly in our world today, and we are more aware of the changes because of the media that is now available. Whether that's good or bad is moot. The point is, it's available to us, and with the world changing so fast, everybody feels this drive to stay in the know, right? Air quotes. And it's almost like a insidious little pull on our systems that say you can't be someone that's out of the know. You have to stay current. You have to know what's going on, because knowledge is power. Knowledge is protection. If you know more, you can be prepared. Well, for what? Who knows? It's not real. But I think this is the story that we tell ourselves. So now we have all of these things coming at us from all these different places: social media platforms, news, hearsay, our friend groups, all these things. We always have all this information coming at us. And yet, emotionally, it's overwhelming. We don't know what to do with all that information. How do you prepare for something that you can't prepare? You can't.
Right. Yeah. So when I was in college, like I went to Minneapolis College of Art and Design. So like went to art school, and in art school, I took a class. It's like a film and video class, and we spent a really good chunk of that class talking about and dissecting media, like specifically news media. And there was actually a book. I remember it like so distinctly because it had like a really big effect on my perspective on media. And the book we read for that class was called Channels of Discourse Reassembled.
Oh my God, you remember the name?
Yes. Because the whole class, right, we were being trained to become creators of this kind of media, this film and video media format, right?
Sure.
And the goal is to use that medium to capture people's emotions.
Yeah.
Right? And when you're an artist, the whole goal of art is to make people, like, really grab people, make them feel something, make an impact, give a statement,
get their attention on their emotions.
Here's like here's I'm going to show you how society is this or that, right? Like, so the whole exercise of an artist is to be a reflection of the world we live in, right? And a lot of that is being provocative and really tugging people's emotions out, right?
Yeah.
So going through those exercises and learning like the craft of manipulating people's emotions through video was really impactful, because I was like, oh, this is this is not, this is a powerful tool.
Yeah.
Right. My reaction was like, oh, this is like a weapon. Like this thing is so powerful that you can weaponize this medium.
Wow.
Right.
And that's exactly what's
And
that's exactly what is.
Right. So if you're kind of like, I don't know, for some of us that are a little older, the younger crew might not get this, but like if you think back to like classic news, you know, back in the day, Walter Cronkite, right? Here's a guy that comes into your home without an agenda, just as
fact tellers,
as factual, as eyes wide open, as broad as possible, tells you what's happening, right?
Yeah.
Well, that pure idea of telling those stories, informing the public, transferring that information to the masses, that's a beautiful concept.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And that's the pure news concept, right? The problem is that's not what's happening right now. Yeah,
money,
the problem
power,
is money.
Ego.
Because, I mean, it was happening back kind of in early television days, but there was a very pure start to television. It's this mass communication tool. We've never had mass communication tools, right?
Right.
But as these mass communication tools have become driven by commercialism, by making money, they're all advertising backed, right? They start getting torqued around. Their purpose starts becoming a little bit
they have
less
an agenda.
Pure.
Yep, there's
because
an agenda
what they
now.
really need is eyeballs watching so they can sell more ads.
Right.
It's like a revenue machine.
Totally.
Well, what's better to get people to like come back and watch more ads and watch more of your programs? Well, let's like get things super polarized. Let's get people like into groups, right? Let's tell people what they want to hear and like make them really upset about what's happening so they can come back and hear more, right?
Yeah. Let's put them off emotionally. Let's put them topsy-turvy so that they feel, unless they come back and listen again, they're not going to get the rest of the story.
Yeah, they won't get the resolution, right? Like cliffhanger all of it, right? Like it's just, and it's done to a mastery level right now.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably good.
Yeah.
Like they're really good at that craft.
Yeah. And coming back to the emotional and the mental health awareness piece is that we become numb to the trauma and the drama that they show. We become mostly numb because our emotions become so blown away that we get depressed,
it's like overwhelmed,
shut
right? It's
down,
just
overwhelmed.
huge.
Yeah, it becomes so insurmountable. We don't have the capacity to process that kind of trauma over and over and over again.
And then you layer on top of it the newest form of media, social media,
right?
Which, if anyone wants to go like watch something that's terrifying in my opinion, go watch
Nice
some
setup.
of those documentaries on Netflix. Like there's one called like The Social Dilemma.
Yes, it's
there's
fascinating.
one on Facebook. Is absolutely fascinating. It's like there are hundreds of PhDs working every single day
tirelessly
to optimize these algorithms to make sure that you keep coming back and scrolling through your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed, and they are putting content on there that they know gets an emotional reaction from you because they know that's what makes you come back.
Yeah.
And so it just becomes like an echo chamber for you. Like you're not getting the
whole
real story.
Yeah.
You're getting what they know gets you back.
Yeah.
So you lose perspective. You lose other people's perspective because it comes an echo chamber of your own perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Down to the
like,
ads that are being run, down to the paid advertisements in between your feeds.
Yeah.
That are all, again, based on the algorithms of what you've been talking about or listening to.
Yeah, so we lose something really important.
Yeah.
Like we lose the ability to see other people's perspectives. We
Yeah.
lose compassion.
Yeah.
We lose like
Flexibility. We lose,
flexibility. That's a great one. We lose some very important fundamentals.
yeah, we lose moderation is actually what we lose. We lose the ability to be moderate and to take both sides and to balance out our feelings and our thoughts.
Yeah, and make our own decisions about things.
Yeah. So in coming back to the whole dialogue around how does this affect our mental health? What's your take on that? Do we have the ability to listen and be a part of all of these things? And do we have the ability to listen to all these things and maintain a sense of healthy mental wellness?
That's a good question. I can only answer that obviously personally for me.
That's all I'm asking is your opinion.
So for me, like again, my sort of thesis is that like who I am and the way I think and the emotions that trigger the most for me are based on the stories that I hear and engage with, right? The stories that are around me.
Yep.
So to me, the media that I consume shapes how I think.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true of all of us. The media that we consume shapes what we think.
Yep. And so for me, it is super important to make sure that that media that's coming into my brain is exactly the media that like I think is going to be healthy for me.
Yeah.
But my resolution to that is almost none. Like, I don't watch the news. I don't engage. I don't like do the social media stuff like that gets anywhere into like politics or world news or current events or any of that stuff because
because it doesn't feel good for you.
Yeah, it creates so much emotion. I don't know what's true. I don't have the energy to figure out what's true. Like, and I just don't like the idea that someone else's take on things are like getting it, like worming into my brain and starting to like reconfigure neurons.
Yeah. I think it has everything to do with being aware of how you feel in the process. Like my mom, you know, and I know that this is very common with elderly. They watch television and they are glued to the set, you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it's all about like, I have to stay informed. And they're watching the news 3 times a day, and they're watching the local and the national news. And my mom would say this, and my grandparents used to say this, like, no, we have to stay informed. Yeah. But there is a cross point where being informed and being hammered on are 2 very different things. But I think people have to make the decision based on being more judicious about their time that they spend in front of a screen. Yeah. They have to be more judicious to choose what they're choosing, because it is a balance between what they want to know and how they want to feel.
Yep.
And I don't think people do that enough because it's a habitual choice. You know, to participate in the way that we participate with our phone. Let me give you an example. So when not too long ago, a few months ago, well, maybe even a year now, when all this terrible stuff was happening with at the start of the pandemic. So, geez, it's 2 years ago. But when all this was happening, I was glued to the television. Like, oh my gosh, I have to watch this. And I got to a point where I no longer, I realized I don't feel good watching this. I can't watch the news anymore, because in between all of this information about the pandemic is all this other awful information laced between. And I'm literally feeling like a terrible, like I'm feeling an emotional mess. I don't know what to do with these emotions. So what I'm going to do is I want to stay informed. So I'm going to like sign up for a quick email to get like the top 5 stories from the Washington Post, from New York Times, CNN, Fox. Like, I purposefully chose opposing viewpoints to get a quick email that just gives the highlights of the day and what happened in the morning. Here's the highlights of what happened yesterday. Okay. And I was thinking, I feel pretty smart, like, because that takes me like 15 minutes to consume it. I stay up to date, right? Well, guess what? Every morning, my alarm would go off, my feet would hit the ground, and I'd look at those emails, and how do you think I felt? Like crap.
Not good. Like the world is collapsing.
So, but I'm just saying, I had to even evaluate again. It's like, I think it takes constant evaluation to check yourself and how you feel versus the activities that you're participating in and the response to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that fascinating? Like habit, entertain. I mean, I kind of heard, like, when you're talking about your mom, it's like, that's like a source of entertainment.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly.
Like, hey, I need to occupy my time, so I'm going to do it by, quote, staying informed, which sounds like a noble cause.
Yeah.
It's maybe more just about, passing the time.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
I was wondering, is there maybe like a little bit of a generational thing happening? Again, like that, Walter Cronkite generation. Mm-hmm. They did want to stay informed.
Yeah.
That was actually kind of like a new way of being informed, right? Mm-hmm. So that probably had a big impact on the older generation.
Yeah, and
right?
Their habits of media
and their
consumption.
habits and the way they see the news media. Mm-hmm. Now, for my kids, your kids, they're going to have a whole different relationship with the news media than Grandma and Grandpa did.
Right.
Right. Because for them, they're just like inundated with all this stuff from like left and right and every direction, up and down. And is this entertainment? Is this real? I even see with like, especially with our 15-year-old, like he really questions like, what is truth? What can I believe this? And he's kind of even like, wow, if I go on social media, like he knows that they track him, right? He knows at 15 that the stuff that he sees on social media is being tracked, is being manipulated, is being curated for him, he's very aware. Mm-hmm. Now he participates because it's like a drug, right?
Yeah, it's entertainment, habit.
And right, and those dopamine hits for everybody scrolling through those news feeds is really hard to break.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's interesting how we might have a generation who's like very aware of their manipulation, but nearly powerless from like a brain chemistry perspective to do anything about it.
Which brings us right back to how much that makes someone feel completely out of control.
Right.
And how much they're in total reaction mode constantly to their emotions. And whenever you are chasing your emotions and being being like the huge wave swell of emotions taking you over, you lose control and you don't feel good.
Yep.
And your wellness is non-existent or taking a huge hit.
Yep. All right, so everyone can use my solution, which is bury your head in the sand like an ostrich.
Or you can use my solution, which is watch a bunch of Instagram reels about cute dancing animals, and then all you see are baby golden retrievers and dancing llamas.
So one is ignore everything, and then yours is just like entertain yourself, distract yourself. So two very good approaches.
Well, I do think there is a balance here, though. Honestly, I think really
because
what we're talking.
Frankly, like you can't be completely misinformed or uninformed. Like frankly, a lot of times, like even talking with my wife, she'll be like, "Hey, did you hear about whatever that happened today?" I'm like, "I didn't," and then I feel like, really, I do feel out of the loop. I feel like, am I being irresponsible by not engaging in these things? Because there are really important social issues happening.
Right. Yes.
I feel like I should be more involved in like shaping like shaping things that are happening in our world, right?
Yeah.
But if I just hide from it all the time, I can't really do that.
No, I And I'm just going to say, I think that like, what can we do about this? Like, cause this has been a really good conversation. And I think it comes as no surprise to everybody else. They're feeling the same things and seeing the same things. Mm-hmm. But the question is what personally am I supposed to do with this? And the approach that I take about it is this. It's like, however much you hear, whether it's coming passively or because you're on purpose, purposefully listening, you have a personal responsibility to set the emotional tone and energy in which you are. I heard this phrase and I absolutely love it. Everyone has what's called a pilot wave. It is the energy that you come to something with. It's the energy that comes right before you. You walk into a room, people are with you. You are emitting an energy, okay? And if you are consumed with dark things that make you feel bad, the question I would ask you is, what is your energy? What is your pilot wave that you're leading with? And you can have full control over that. Yeah. And if all you did, my coach says this and I love it. She says, if all you did was sit on the couch the rest of your life and you focus on kicking out a very strong positive energy, you would change the planet. If we all did that, we would change the planet. So now that's a very airy-fairy way of describing it, although I do believe this. I think in everyday life, we have an opportunity to simply clean up our own energy. And you are right, what happens to one of us happens to all of us. So if we've got 5 people that are focusing on having a strong energy and we have one that is in a very dark space, what happens? Yeah. Right? Versus the reverse. Creeps in. Yep. And so we can continue to clean up our own space, clean up our own act, clean up our own energy. And that's what I would really encourage people to focus on.
Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well.
Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and there's always further to go. And it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation and share this episode with them. We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring, seekers.